Rapid moto news, everything got two wheels from around the world. In roughly around 10, 15 minutes, we'll see how long that ice takes for us. Start digressing. This is the news show. And where is those aspects, the media aspects? Oh. All right, here we go. So first off, I want to say thank you for liking and subscribing, because when I share my screen, I should have had everything already ready here for that live show. Just, you guys know me. I'm pretty unfiltered. So I want to say thank you, everybody, for getting me over 60,000. Yeah, 2.7 million views for the last 28 days is $2,000. Woohoo! Yay! Yay! Go Hopper! Right? Woohoo! Yep. But hey, everyone that's been hitting that like and subscribe button, sincerely appreciate all you two-wheel knuckleheads. But what is going on in the realm of moto racing at the moment? And honestly, I want to start off with a joke real quick, because when I first saw this was a little bit of a while ago, but it reminded me of Wreck-It Ralph. So Jet is just doing his thing, but it reminded me of this.
Say something.
Yeah, are they gonna...
First thing that comes to your mind.
I'm gonna wreck it!
Yeah, so Jet really should have said wreck it, for sure. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. So moving on, okay, this is, if you want to call it explicit or whatnot, this was Deegan in his hyperbolic time chamber or whatever, but, he shares his Charlie horse that probably made it hard to grab the motorcycle, and I went over it in my week's video, which got 50,000 views, so I was pumped about that, as to why Deegan wasn't on his game, where he wasn't just going 1-1. He went 14-2 for 5th overall, which is pretty crazy. But as I'm moving onward, you got more guys that are just falling out. Cooper Webb is going to miss the remaining series of Pro Motocross due to a knee injury during qualifying, but he did race Redbud. So it's interesting that after the fact, then they decide to bump out, but he is the leader in the SMX, and he's going, hey, do I finish motocross and continue to hurt myself and ride injured, or do I take a month and a half off so that I can actually try to win $1 million for the SMX deal? And that's really a no-brainer. Most of the stuff is financial motivation, so I completely see that. That was the same thing with what I believe Sexton was trying to do, but maybe he had pressure from KTM to come back. I don't really know. He did say some things on Vital that it's difficult, but you give him the benefit of the doubt. Moving on, you got Cole Davies, okay? And he's back to riding. This is awesome. I would love to see him at Millville this weekend, but it doesn't seem like he's going to race motocross maybe the last couple rounds, but I believe he's probably in the same boat with Cooper Webb, where he's just going to sit there and he is going to make sure that he is ready for SMX so he can try to take that $500,000 from Deegan. And there was more rumors on there that Deegan was potentially going to move up in 2027. I feel like that's too long for Deegan. And then there was even some silly rumors about Deegan moving to Honda. I don't see that being a thing. I see Star Yamaha trying to do everything they can to hold on to Deegan, especially they're really loyal. And so I think that whole Monster Energy branding is something that, even if Monster has to come in and try to help to keep him, I believe Monster will try to do something, as opposed to him jump ship, go over. And Deegan is not going to move up to a 450 to try to be there with the HRC boys, with the Lawrence brothers. That makes zero sense to me whatsoever. And I think that there's no validity in that whatsoever. Those guys are the top dogs on that team, and they will be. Joe is probably going to move up to 450s in a year or so, and it's going to be interesting whether or not he has a job because of the Lawrence brothers. You guys know how I feel about Hunter. I think he should kind of be moving to a different team, but you had Dean Wilson, who's been doing really well, basically winning everything over at the Arena Cross World Tour, which ironically seems to be doing a little bit better than World Supercross, right? Now that they're kind of disconnected from the Australian Supercross and that whole thing happened, but the AusX is still going to happen. And you've got the big heavy hitters that are coming. But anyway, he had a red flag at the last race at Abu Dhabi and ended up going down when he was basically geared to just have a perfect night. And yeah, here's the Arena Cross World Tour. I don't know why I have that on there. We know that AP is not injured, but he's tired, right? He doesn't go into big details, but he says he's just tired. And we've talked about it, especially with some of the guests that I've had on my show, basically just suggesting that it's overtraining. We know he works with Alden Baker. So what are you doing during the week? You're probably doing sprints. But then what are you doing on the weekend? You're doing sprints. So there's no real slow down to go fast type mentality, especially when you're 23 races into a 33 race season. Makes it sort of difficult to recover. That's why you got guys like Cooper Webb, Sexton, so many other guys that are just taking it easy, which is smart. Why I believe Cole Davies, we probably won't see him in Moto. If he gets here in Moto, it's probably just going to warm up. It's not going to be to have the whole world on fire. Moving on. I thought this was interesting. So Jorge Martin is set to return at the Czech GP. So you got Germany, and I think this is the next race. Is it the next race? That's the next race. Yeah, it's the next race after Germany. This weekend is Germany. But my point being is his whole scenario between Aprilia and him. I think he moved from the second tier Ducati team to Aprilia because of money. You know, he was the defending champion. His stock was at an all-time high, so he was able to continue to feed off of that and basically got a massive paycheck. But then he put some stimulations into his contract stating that, like, hey, if he doesn't really perform very well, he can get out. But I don't know if that really had anything to do with if he got injured, because basically every time he's thrown a leg over that bike, he's crashed and hurt himself. And it's been like 3 times where he's just that, put himself in the hospital. And so he tried getting out of the contract. And of course, Aprilia is going, oh, hell no, can't get out of this contract because we just spent and gave you a crap ton of money. So for that, I see both sides. And truthfully, I believe that he's going to do whatever he can to salvage his career because the Aprilia hasn't been doing the best. And if he doesn't have any better results, I definitely think we will see him on a Honda next year. And so what if he gets sued by Aprilia and has to give some of the money back? I think that's exactly what he'll do to have a bike that is winning form, because basically you had Marc Marquez. So I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but Marc Marquez is just owning the series right now with 307 points above his brother, who ended up getting injured, but he's going to be back here at Germany as well. So that'll be interesting. And I think he's only beat him once, but I'm a little bit digressing here. My point being is Marc Marquez had a sensational season in 2019 and then basically kind of fell off the rocker with some injuries and whatnot, kind of did exactly what Martin is doing with, you're going to different teams and trying to see if you can cash that check, but now he's on the best team again. And so therefore, boom, he starts winning freaking everything again. So the bike is so important. Hey, by the way, I'm going to Laguna Seca this weekend. I'm not going to go to Millville, but I'm actually going to the road race event there. And those guys are telling me just how important the motorcycle is. So it'll be interesting, have some different content there. And along with my podcast, I'm having like the BMX bicycle motocross downhill champ on, and then some other off-road guys. So just, interesting. So about that, MotoAmerica, their big race here is at Laguna Seca. They're going to have 3 rounds, 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and qualifying practice on Friday, then 1 race on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Excuse me. And I'm going to be able to go to at least 2 of the 3, right? Because of flights and whatever. But Josh Herrin is coming off of winning 3 races in a row. So we will see. He's on that elusive Ducati, and Bobier is not far behind on the BMW. The Yamaha guys, they're having issues with their 1000. I know they just got the V4 for I believe that new 600. So that'll be interesting. I want to get some new information on that, but they're definitely at a disadvantage here over the BMW and Ducati guys. I've been hearing Ducati is able to potentially have a full swing arm next year. So that'll be cool. And this weekend, now you have the MXGP of Finland. Hurlings is still hurt. So there's just so many guys that are injured. And along with Juju's out as well for motocross. I don't know why I didn't have it over there.
Since then. So I went to the doctors yesterday, and unfortunately I'm still suffering from some lingering effects from the crash I sustained in High Point, and the doctor advised me that it's best that I take a couple weekends off and get back to 100%. I'm disappointed. I feel like I've let my team...
So, yeah. Unfortunately, to me, that sounds like a concussion. This sounds like the same thing that was going on with Sexton. And you can ride with a broken collarbone, put a plate on it, boom, like sure, separated shoulder, you can do that well. We've seen Rocks and so many other guys do it. Wrists, plate them, you will be fairly okay. But when it comes to your head, that's something that you don't mess with. So I'd rather see these guys get healed up so that we can have a good season. And truthfully, I personally think the season's a little bit too long, but I do like Millville. The whoops are just, that place is awesome. The Martin, Alex, and them, they do a superb job at having it over there. And honestly, okay, where did I have this last little bit here that I was wanting to share, but where did it go? Oh, this I found was, maybe there's a little bit of sensationalism here, but I was wondering if this had any validity into it whatsoever when it came to the Triumph, because they're saying that some of the pieces parts are plastic, which is interesting. And I thought that was wild that some of people are putting in KTM parts to fix what is going on, just swapping metal gears for the plastic ones in there because of the failing transmissions, plastic oil pump gears, plastic rotors, mapping issues, clutch failures, and more. I do know new motorcycles do have issues like that, but interesting for MX Ryan to share this info. He is a decent mechanic, so you kind of take his word for it, and I could see that happening completely. Bummer to see, but hopefully Triumph is able to correct these issues and at least warranty them. And last but not least, just quick little bit about the Tour de France. Evenepoel won the time trial. That was actually probably the most fun to watch. Taddy was not far off. They were averaging around 33 miles an hour. That is just freaking hellacious that they were able to do that. Really bummed with the man that's not inside the top 10, but pretty much the guy that I only thought that could potentially beat Taddy was Vindigo, and he's not doing that well. So it's looking like Taddy at one of these hill mountain stages is probably going to just be able to run away from it, because I don't see anyone that has the same kind of legs as him, with him being able to have his FTP at like 420 and zone 2 at like 350, which is just freaking crazy. But hey, this weekend, make sure you look out for some road race content as well. And I'll still continue up with the dirt bike stuff as well. And next week on the pod, I'm having Donnie Hansen on board, old Supercross, Motocross champ and MX of Nations champ. So we're going to sit down with him and see what the hell he's been up to. So as always, this is Johnny Hopper, and this has been your week in Moto Rapid Style. Bra-da-da-da-da.